So if you're looking for an answer where I might differ with Trump on, it might be that one. There's a lot of questions too with this Space Force that we have to hear answered from him and his administration as well, but I'm not going to give a final answer, but leaning towards education on that one personally. Having to choose between the other, well, to deepen the question, I would say what is the foundation of the education? A lot of the education we're getting here is crap. And is almost based on theory and mythology, evolutionary theory, so on and so forth. So I would say, what are we going to educate? That we would have to discuss before I'd be willing to take all the money that would have gone towards further military spending into education. But you're asking if I have to give simple answers. I think we could use some more money towards education. Definitely taking care of some facilities. So.
You mean Trump's Space Force?
Yeah.
Is that a real thing? I mean, Trump, he says this stuff, and it's like, I don't even believe it's real. So I'm going to go with education for all.
Thank you.
I mean, we should have space exploration, but, you know, Trump is just living in his own fantasy planet. So
If you
education. Because education builds everything, including things that we do in space. I think we should explore space. I don't think we should militarize it.
Education for all.
Everyone should have education.
So everything's equal, you know. How do you know what you can do if you never are given the same?
If you're not educated,
you know,
then you
like
can't
opportunities.
perform
Everyone.
your fullest.
If there's one,
Free education for all.
that was beautifully rhymed. Space.
Oh,
Healthcare.
are you serious?
Yes.
I would. That's a tough question. It's like no, it's like that's Star Wars stuff. But no, I think of course healthcare and stuff like that because you know I don't think we've got to that level. But some innovation is good. But if Trump is going like balls to the wall for space stuff, I think that's a little like questionable because I don't think it's been done before.
So although Star Wars is cool, I do enjoy Star Wars. I don't think it's really necessary. When I really, if you had to choose down to it, should we fix the problems here on Earth before we fix no problems? Before we start problems in space? I think that's an easy question to answer. We should have education for people. We should have healthcare for people. We should spend money where the gaps there's needed. Why do we need to go into more debt? You know how much money shooting something into space costs? One thing, right? So how much more we need? So at this point, they're like, oh, we're already trillions of dollars in debt. Who cares if we just add another trillion and shoot something into space and create a space force? What are we protecting? Are we unless they know something about space that there's aliens coming to attack Earth, then fine. But until that, let's worry about our problems first.
Oh. Which one would you invest in? Space Army Force or education?
Education for all.
Why education for all?
We were both teachers at one time.
Very good.
That's a no-brainer. I mean, even in terms of education, where we are so behind the rest of the world, it's really sad. It's pathetic. We don't need a space force. We have a lot of other issues to fix before we create a Trump space force. So.
You know, I think there's a lot of good investing in space, Space Force. I don't really see the urgency for that. I think education is something that we could all use. You know, I don't know which is the better in the long term. I think that an educated population will probably serve us a little bit better, probably in space.
Most humans cannot even get along with their neighbor, cannot even get along with someone that's a slightly different shade of color than they are, cannot even get along with someone who have a slightly different degree slanted eyes than they do. And you're telling me that there should be space of force so that more wars can be spread? No, you can't even get along with humans on Earth. Forget the Space Force. Forget trying to create an army base force that utilizes or encourages even more war. I want education for all. I want education reform for all. I don't believe that the Dickensian way of education, of sitting kids down in a row and testing everyone with grades and tests. But I'm still against testing and the traditional education system because it fails. What you should be teaching kids about in schools is how to do your taxes, how to do your mortgages, where do your how to make enough money, or how to budget your life. That's what's more important. You should be teaching kids about geography. You should be teaching kids about different countries and the great things about them. That kind of education I believe in more. So I believe in education reform. So I want education for all. How about care for all? Which one would you be?
Education and healthcare, no doubt about it.
Why?
Because it's more important to the people. It supports the people of this country. The other, that's what we need.
Well, I would say education for Americans. For Americans. And that does not mean free college. The Space Force, I think, you know, we used to be part of that, and I think that we should try it again. Make America great with that again. But with education, I think the American people who are American citizens should have the education first. Because I know there are people in this country that who are not legal citizens and are getting free tuition, from what I understand, and I don't think that's right. I think American people should get the education first and get the services first.
Well, there's no need to arm space. I mean, explore space, yes, that should be done, but there's no need to arm space. To take warfare to the level that you're going out into space for it is ludicrous, and it's what you get from an imperialist regime, and especially from this fascist shithole in chief that we have in the White House right now.
I think I think the priority should be your health care. I think the Space Force is an interesting topic that should be looked into, though. Yeah.
Oh, invest in healthcare. And maybe a bit of space on the side, more space exploration.
I reckon healthcare is more important than the space art.
Arthur knows.
Which one would you choose?
Education for all, absolutely. Again, it goes to our fellow man. I'm all for scientific advancement. I truly am. I am very curious about this universe, and I want to know as much of it about it as possible. But in the face of human suffering, how do you not address that first? I don't know.
Education for all. We will have a space force and whatever else we want to do in space if we can just do the STEM education for our people. That's absolutely a result of that education investment. You can't put the cart in front of the horse.
Education for all.
Why is that?
Because everyone should be given the best education in school to prepare them for the real world once they're done with school and college and when they're in the workforce.
You know, I was an educator. I mean, that doesn't matter. I mean, I do think that appropriate useful education for all, that yes, I believe in education for everyone, some kind of education. And I don't know about a Space Force. I mean, you know, I mean, when the president talks about Space Force, I think he sees it in some kind of militaristic mode. I think that's beyond anything we can manage, and I'm not interested in that.
Education for all, but American education. Like, people from other countries can't come here and start schools and teach their garbage over here. No, there's going to be American education.
Education and healthcare costs.
Education for all.
Why so?
It just makes a lot better sense. That way we can eventually we can afford and have a Space Force.
Healthcare and education for all. Yeah, agreed.
Education. Well, I think that space, is something of the future, but not the short-term future. I think that education is something that is definitely more essential to us right now. 100 years from now, maybe space will be something that is crucial. But at this stage of society, I don't think so.
Healthcare and education by far.